Today, I would like to lovingly talk about the real reason why you keep self-sabotaging right before your breakthrough. And it may not be the reason that you think. Let's start with some reflection. I would like to invite you to think about the last time you had a dream or a goal or an opportunity that you were just so excited about. Maybe you felt inspired or energized. Maybe you were on the brink of a breakthrough that you had long been manifesting. But then something shifted. Maybe you started procrastinating. Maybe you felt exhausted before you even got started. Maybe you convinced yourself that you just weren't ready or that the timing wasn't right. Whatever the case may be, if you're anything like me, then you were probably pretty hard on yourself about it. You might have thought something like, why do I keep doing this? Like, why do I keep getting in my own way? But here's what I would like to invite you to consider. What if that inner resistance wasn't self-sabotage, but instead self-protection? What if your mind and your body, even your spirit, were working in overtime to keep you safe based on an outdated definition of what safety actually means? When we face something new or unfamiliar, whether it's a new creative project, taking a leap in our career, or stepping into a new relationship, our minds and our bodies often go into overtime. And this is because if we've experienced trauma, if we've experienced stress, if we've experienced emotional wounding in the past, our survival instincts can trigger resistance, even if what we're moving toward is something positive or life-changing. So today I want to explore why it is that we resist the very things we say that we want, how this pattern is deeply tied to both our personal and collective histories, and how we can begin to unravel it, not by forcing ourselves to push through, but by creating a true sense of safety in our nervous system, in our energy, and in our environment. So to start, let's start by thinking about it like this. Your nervous system is constantly trying to keep you safe, even when you're unaware of it. Sometimes that safety looks like staying small or holding back, even when you deeply desire something more. And it's not that you're incapable of moving forward. It's that your body associates the next step with something that could harm or overwhelm you. Let me share a few examples to illustrate this. Maybe you've been in a relationship where you felt the need to pull back, even if what you really wanted was more connection. Or perhaps you found yourself avoiding a career advancement opportunity, even though you knew it could be the breakthrough that you've been waiting for. In these moments, that resistance was more than you getting in your own way. It was your mind and your body protecting you from something that felt risky, even if you weren't consciously aware of it. Now, take a moment to think about a time that you deeply wanted something, whether it was a promotion, a creative shift, a loving connection, but you found yourself feeling stuck, blocked, and hesitant. What was happening in your body and mind at that time? Was there fear, tension, or anxiety? Was there a sense that the next step felt dangerous or unfamiliar, even if it was something that you really wanted? I can't begin to tell you how many times I have gone through this myself. I have always had big ideas and a huge vision for the work that I do and the work that I wanted to share. But for a long while, whenever a huge opportunity would come up, I would freeze. One moment that clearly comes to mind as I think about this right now is the time that I was asked to lead a segment for a one-day online wellness retreat that the digital media brand I previously worked for was hosting. I was supposed to interview a beauty salon owner in front of hundreds of people. Now, mind you, I could not see them because it was a live stream event, but nonetheless, I still felt so intimidated just by the idea of having so much attention on me and the possibility of just messing up. So while I was feeling excited, I kept telling myself that I wasn't ready, that I needed more time to prepare for an opportunity like this, that I just needed more days to prepare, period. Like I came up with every internal excuse that I could possibly think of. And it was so uncomfortable to navigate. But in my quiet moments, I started to pay attention to what I was feeling in my body when these thoughts would come up. And I realized that there was tightness in my chest and shortness of breath. There was a lump in my throat. My mouth was dry. It wasn't just hesitation, it was fear. And it wasn't so much about the event itself, it was more so a fear of being seen. It was about visibility and success and the expansion that I was seeking. My nervous system had linked these things with risk and danger, even though I consciously knew that they weren't. And as I looked at my past, I realized that stepping into the spotlight had often led to judgment. Sometimes it had led to rejection. So, somewhere along the way, I learned that being seen can bring harm or ridicule. And so I kept myself small. That was such an illuminating realization, and it brought so much clarity and so much compassion for myself because I had a deep understanding that my resistance wasn't about my capability. I knew that I could take on the role, I knew that I was built for it, I knew that I was equipped for it, but it was about needing to feel safe in my body first. So once I acknowledged that, I really just gave myself permission to slow down, to care for my nervous system, and to take steps to prepare with a sense of ease and grace rather than doing it with force. Just taking things one small step at a time. That event went so well, by the way, and I had so much fun and I got amazing feedback from the producers. So if you're scared of something right now, just do it. Anyway, so let's talk about what's actually happening in these scenarios. We often think of self sabotage as like a bad habit or a lack of willpower. But in my own experience, sometimes it feels more like a deeply ingrained survival response. On a biological level, our brains are not necessarily wired for our dreams. And by that, I don't mean that we weren't built to succeed. I more so mean that our brains are wired for our survival first. This means that anything unfamiliar, no matter how positive, can register as a potential threat. The brain's primary job is to control and regulate the body, and that includes controlling the body's automatic functions and sensing danger. This is deeply rooted in our evolutionary biology. When faced with something new, especially something that requires us to step out of our comfort zone in a big way, our brain doesn't immediately evaluate whether it's a good or bad opportunity. It evaluates whether it's safe. Y'all know I like to get nerdy, so let's talk about the amygdala real quick. The amygdala is the part of the brain that is responsible for processing emotions, and it also helps us to detect threats. The amygdala can become hyperactive when faced with unfamiliar situations, especially if you're someone like me who deals with anxiety disorder and panic disorder, where your amygdala just be all over the place. This triggers the fight or flight response, which prepares our body to protect ourselves from danger. This is why small positive changes, even something like getting a new job, can feel like a threat for some of us. Our nervous system reacts as if we're in physical danger, even though we're not. It's also really important to note that prolonged stress or trauma can really reinforce this fear response, which can make it feel like a constant state of danger. And as a result, our subconscious may resist new opportunities, even ones that could lead to growth, because it associates change with discomfort, uncertainty, or even potential harm. Okay, so I know that was a lot of information, so I feel like this is a good moment to just pause. And I want to invite you to just take a deep breath, check in with yourself, and how are you feeling in this moment? What's coming up for you right now? There's no right or wrong answer. Just notice. And just take a moment to be present with what's there before we continue. And feel free to drop an emoji in the comments if you feel called. Okay, so before we continue, I think it's also important to sit with how many of us hold on to societal or familial definitions of success that don't really serve us. These definitions are often shaped by external pressures, things like what success should look like according to the media, or family expectations, or systemic beliefs. And over time, these subconscious ideas that we inherit can create unconscious limitations. And this makes it so difficult for us to envision a version of success that is truly fulfilling and aligned with our values. From an early age, we receive messages about what it means to truly be successful. These messages can come from parents, teachers, cultural norms, or even the social media content that we consume daily. For example, some may associate success with financial wealth, while others may equate it with relentless productivity or sacrificing personal well-being for external validation. So, to begin redefining success for ourselves, we can ask ourselves, whose definition of success am I holding on to? How has this definition shaped my choices and my habits and my self-worth? And if I could redefine success on my own terms, what would that look like? Would it involve more peace, more balance, more creativity? Try to imagine success without any external influences. Maybe it would be about deep relationships or inner sanctuary. Rewriting this definition for yourself allows you to step into a vision of success that truly aligns with your desires and your values, rather than what you've been conditioned to believe. And this work isn't easy, but just know that dismantling internalized conditioning is an ongoing process. By consciously redefining success, you not only reclaim your personal power, but you align with your most authentic self. And if you'd like to dive deeper, I've left some additional practices for rewriting your narrative in the description, along with a few tools that have helped me in breaking cycles of self-sabotage. As an Ayurvedic educator, I always find it really helpful to explore things like this from an Ayurvedic perspective. And from an Ayurvedic perspective, self-sabotage isn't just psychological, it's deeply energetic. Ayurveda teaches us how our individual constitution, also known as our dosha, can influence how we respond to change. Each dosha has its own unique way of resisting growth. Vata types often self-sabotage through avoidance and overthinking. They're full of ideas, but they may struggle to take action because they're so caught up in the what ifs. The fear of failure or even success can cause Vata to procrastinate or shift focus too quickly, and this leaves them stuck in the planning stage rather than making progress. As a Vata Pitta, a tip that I have for Vata is to ground yourself by breaking tasks into small, manageable steps. And practice calming techniques like yoga or meditation just to calm your mind and ease overwhelm. Pitta types are often driven by perfectionism and control, which means their inner drive can often push them to overwork themselves in pursuit of perfection. And this often leads to burnout. They may avoid taking action if they don't feel 100% ready or capable, thinking that anything less than perfection is not worth pursuing. A Pitta may also feel the need to have complete control over a project or situation before they feel comfortable taking action. So a tip that I have for Pitta is to embrace imperfection and practice self-compassion. Allow yourself to make mistakes and learn from them. And try balancing your intensity with relaxation techniques so that you can help yourself avoid burnout. And finally, Kaphas resist change by clinging on to what's familiar. The fear of the unknown can easily make them feel hesitant to leave their comfort zones. This looks like staying in jobs or situations that no longer serve them because the thought of taking a risk feels too overwhelming and too uncertain. And this fear of instability and unfamiliarity can easily leave them stuck. So, a tip that I have for Kapha is to focus on small incremental changes. Allow yourself to take slow and steady steps towards your goals and celebrate the progress that you make. Engaging in physical activity can also help you overcome inertia and bring new energy into your life. Ayurveda teaches us that balance and awareness are key to overcoming these resistance patterns. By understanding your dosha's natural tendencies, you can begin to recognize your own unique self-sabotage patterns, allowing you to work with them rather than against them. So, my friends, how can you reframe self-sabotage as something that you can listen to? Each time we face resistance, it's an opportunity to slow down, to self-soothe, to rewrite old stories, and to create a life that feels safe and aligned with our true desires. These moments can be such a powerful guide, pointing us toward the areas where we may need more nurturing, support, and understanding. So the next time you find yourself procrastinating or avoiding something that you deeply desire, try pausing and asking yourself these 3 questions. What part of me is afraid? This question invites self-compassion, allowing you to acknowledge and comfort the part of yourself that's feeling vulnerable or uncertain. Where did I learn this fear? Rather than criticizing yourself, this allows you to trace the roots of your fear, uncovering any past experiences or conditioning that may be contributing to your resistance. And how can I show myself that I am safe to grow? Shift the narrative from judgment to curiosity by asking how you can nurture yourself through the fear. What small steps can you take that feel manageable and supportive? This small shift can radically change the way that we relate to resistance. And it allows us to see it as a natural part of the growth process rather than a sign of failure. So, I'd love to hear from you. Have you recently noticed yourself resisting something you truly wanted? And how are you navigating that resistance? What is it teaching you about your fears and your desires? Let's open up a conversation in the comments, and if this resonated, be sure to subscribe so that we can stay connected. I'd also like to close this by reminding you to be gentle with yourself and give yourself grace. It is okay to be scared. And if we can slow down and tune in, then we can really use these moments to work with our resistance and create more safe and expansive and fulfilling lives for ourselves. Okay? You've got this. As always, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.